Greetings. Welcome to my weekend market recap, 10th December 2022. I am Sagar Nandi, retired IT professional swing trading stocks using the Q systems and techniques that I develop. You may contact me using my email ID info@superiorprofit.co. I regularly share live market and stock analysis on my website, Twitter, and YouTube channel. All these are open to the public and you are most welcome to make use of them. Disclaimer, this demonstration is for educational purposes only. I am not an investment advisor. It is not a trade recommendation. Trading involves risk. You and only you are solely responsible for the outcome of your trades. Options trading can be risky. You may refer to the characteristics and risks of standardized options document from OCC to decide if option trading is suitable for you. I use the Q systems for my trading. All the Q analysis components run on Metastock and the technical analysis component runs on TradeStation as well. Today I'll spend less time on global markets. I want to spend a little more time on looking at different stocks. Some may be buy candidates, some may be short candidates, some may be watch list candidates, and explain how all these can be achieved easily using live Q systems. Not everybody may be trading in every way, and not in every session I have time to explain all the possible techniques. I cover them, different techniques, different approaches, top down, bottom up, in different sessions. Today I look at different stocks and explain how I arrived at those stocks. Still have a look at global markets, spend some time on them, always useful. Australian market still in an uptrend in daily. In weekly we have some indecision signal. Because it is in an uptrend, if it goes up from here, I may look for buy setup. If the traffic color remains red, I am not going to short immediately because it is still in an uptrend. And remember, though I am studying indices here, global indexes, the same technique, same approach applies to liquid stocks as well. No learning is wasted. Topics index, not that one, .topx. Still in an uptrend. Right after displaying the bearish headwind, it had a false upside breakout in weekly, pulled back enough but still in an uptrend, regained the yellow direction line. Therefore, it had a kind of pullback long setup on Friday. You could look to buy strong fundamental stocks on Friday itself. Preferred trading direction, long, trend, bullish. China market, CSI 300. In a clear uptrend, weekly, daily, both are bullish, but both are near trendline resistances. Trend bullish, preferred trading direction none. Too late to buy, no signal to short. Nifty 50, India market. Still in an uptrend, the best performing of all the markets that we study regularly in this session. After displaying the bearish headwind, price pulled back, but it stopped right at the trendline support. In fact, on Friday, seeing the gap up and then it was declining sharply. Using real-time chart, I took a number of short positions using futures and options, short call positions and future positions, all using Nifty futures. And when I saw that it was not able to break below the trend line support, I closed all the future short positions in Nifty and most of the short call positions in Nifty. I'm still holding some short call position. That was a profitable trade using intraday chart. Gap short trade setup. Now weekly also has a bearish headwind, creating a false upside breakout, approaching jump high. If it breaks below the trend line support, I'll be happy to look for shorting opportunities, especially in stocks that were also at the top. And later on, when I look at multiple possible trade setups, you will see in USA market there are similar setups, stocks that were at a very high level and now they seem to be coming down. That will come soon. Before that, FTSE index, UK market. Remember, whenever an instrument is near trendline resistance, I am reluctant to buy. Instead, I am looking for shorting opportunities. I explained that in last market recap also. And FTSE very nicely reversed from the weekly trendline resistance. And at the very top, it displayed the bearish headwind signal. Since then, it has pulled back. You could take very low risk short trades in individual stocks or in the FTSE index itself right at the very top using the bearish headwind and trendline resistance reversal. Now it has pulled back, but it is still in an uptrend. Now it is too late to short. If price can go up again, I look to buy because the uptrend is still intact. If it comes down, it is too late to short. I would have shorted already at the very top. How is the global custom index as a whole? That was going up steadily. This is custom global index excluding USA. It displayed the bearish indecision at the top, pulled back, but it is still in an uptrend. Friday's candle shape is indecisive. If it can go up again, I'll be happy to buy. If it comes down, I will not short because there is no short trade setup. Now we can look at the USA market, but before that, let's look back. It's always useful to look back to see how the Q analysis are turning out. This is something that I shared in the last market recap. 1 week ago, same YouTube live session, I showed that the sector industry stock breadth was strongest over monthly period, reduced in strength over 10-day period, further reduced its strength to 5-day period, and then even more weak over 1-day period. However, all the periods were bullish because the green portions were still more than 50%. So they were bullish, but I showed and explained in the last session that the bullishness was weakening. That was one reason not to buy. Another reason that I explained in the last session not to buy was because SPY, among other market ETFs, was right at trendline resistance. This is a snapshot of SPY that I showed in the last market recap. This is where the last week closed. Closed is actually here, right at trendline resistance weekly daily. That was last week before knowing what would happen this week. What happened this week? Let's look at the market ETFs. Start with SPY. This was where SPY closed last week at trendline resistance. After that, it has nicely pulled back. Has it changed trend? No, it is still in an uptrend. If you look over a longer period, and for swing trading, I will not say it is in an uptrend, I will say it is in a triangle pattern created by this automatically drawn trendline resistance support. And where is it inside the triangle? At the lower edge. Am I happy to short there? No, unless it breaks below the trendline support. If it reverses up from trendline support, will I buy? Probably not SPY, because after the bullish close of one or two candles, maybe even one candle, it will come too close to the trendline resistance. So I'll wait for price to break down or break up before taking trades in SPY again. However, if SPY can hold the trend line support next week and goes up, I'm pretty sure there will be strong fundamental stocks to buy for swing trading. If it breaks down, there will be weak fundamental stocks to short. Now, triangle pattern, sideways move, no preferred trading direction, no trend. QQQ moving sideways inside watermark resistance and support in weekly for 4 weeks. It is having candles with upper tails and lower tails, not deciding where to go. Also in daily, it's inside a wider triangle pattern than SPY, and it is right in the middle of that wide triangle pattern, not a place to initiate trades, not directional trades. I prefer to take directional trades when it bounces up from support, or reverses down from resistance, or it breaks down below support and breaks up above resistance. Now it is in no trading area. Direction sideways, preferred trading direction none. Dia. Dia was the strongest of the market ETFs, displayed a bearish headwind at the top. That time it created a false upside breakout in both daily weekly. At that time it tried to go up again and immediately came down. And because of this pattern, you may look at the bearish headwind and other Q analysis and use the headwind to either take a headwind short trade or protect profit in long positions. And if you are deciding to take a short trade, one instrument could work better than another, that is short call vertical could work better than stock position. You may try that out, because if you use short call vertical, you don't have to put a stop loss. Verticals have inherent loss protection. So even if it tried to go up, it wouldn't stop you out. As price came down, time decay would be in your favor, and by Friday's close your position would be in a profit. Low risk instrument using bearish headwind signal at the very top, and in this case it would also use the watermark resistances in both weekly daily. Now if it breaks down below support, that will clearly give short setups in Dow Jones Industrial constituent stocks. If it goes up, it may give buy setups. On the downside, I seem to be more clear that if it breaks down below the support, it was very strong for a long time, the strongest of the market ETFs, will have lucrative low risk shorting opportunities if it comes down. Also, I noticed that it is at jump high, approaching thrust high, not thirst, approaching thrust high. When both of them are at extreme level, both of them are cyan, often it pulls back. Not always, but often it pulls back. Those are patterns you may use to look for shorting opportunities. Jump and thrust extreme. High, you may look for shorting opportunities. Jump and thrust. Low extreme, you may look for buying opportunities, which would have come in this case on the headwind bullish day or on this long box setup day, which also had big move up 3 bullish momentum. So what we had here, jump thrust low, that was a time to look for buying opportunities. Now we have the reverse situation, jump thrust high. That's why I am thinking that lower risk opportunities may come on the short side if they come. How will I know they are coming or not? I will know that from Q Finder. I can do that in real time, and I may look at some of the possible shorting opportunities later today. IWM. In the last market recap, this was also at trendline resistance, right at trendline resistance, and that was another reason I was not willing to buy many stocks. It has a sharp drop. Small cap is underperforming, IWM is underperforming the market. It had the strongest drop this week among the market ETFs, the weakest of the market ETFs. And once again, we could use the trendline resistances for two purposes. One is not to buy, other is to actually take short trades. If the daily interval was not giving swing short setup, we could use intraday charts to take short trades that would be very low risk and higher reward risk ratio trades. Now, will I trade anything in IWM? Looking at the last 3 days candle pattern, I am happier to short if it continues to go down. Will I short IWM? No. IWM is already somewhat below the recent swing high, but if it continues to go down, that means many small cap stocks will go down. I'll find the weaker fundamental ones and short them with proper Q trade setup. What if it goes up? Will I buy? No. Again, it will come too close to trendline resistances in both daily, weekly, and I always avoid buying right in front of trendline resistance. And if you are watching these trendline resistances over weeks, months, years, you would know why I do that. They protect my equity. So none of the market ETFs are telling me to buy. That is at the end of Friday. And 1 week ago, in the market recap, I came to the conclusion that it was not time to buy. Once again, Q analysis turned out to be profitable. What about market internals? Is it bullish, bearish? By the way, none of the market ETFs are in a clear downtrend also. IWM here is not in a downtrend. It's moving sideways. Let's go back. DIA still in an uptrend. QQQ moving sideways. SPY sideways inside triangle. So none of them are in a downtrend. So we can't say it is bearish. If it starts to go down, then it will start to be in a downtrend with breakdown below trend line support in SPY, for example. But now none of them are in a downtrend. Are there shorting opportunities? Yes, because market recovered significantly and some of the stocks are at a very high price level and tilting down. Those are lucrative shorting opportunities, and more importantly, at least for me, very low risk opportunities. Low risk as well as high reward risk. We'll look at them. Before that, let's look at the market internals. One thing I noticed in this chart and shared in the last market recap, that was a reason not to buy, was the yellow direction line, sorry, not direction line, yellow percentage of stocks above 50 MA line, internal health check indicator, was at the level where a pullback was expected. I showed that and I explained that's why I wouldn't buy many stocks. That was useful. Price has come down from there. What price? This is a custom USA market index. Moving sideways, there is no clear trend. The yellow line has come down somewhat, not overbought anymore. So if now price goes up, the yellow line doesn't stop us from buying. We are allowed to buy. Also 3-month new high low, another internal health check, overbought oversold indicator, very much came to the overbought level, pulled back, is far from overbought level now. So it doesn't stop us to buy if market goes up next week. That's the good thing. Market has no clear direction, therefore we'll have to see where it is going before taking the next trade. And none of these internal health check indicators, the percentage of stocks of 50 MA or 3-month new high low, they are not telling us we cannot short also, not oversold. So we may trade in whichever direction market moves next week. What about small cap versus large cap? Steadily coming down. We saw IWM was weak, and now we see this is internal check that small caps are indeed underperforming. Growth versus value. Earlier it was dropping more sharply. Now we have to say it is equal performing, growth and value. So if growth tilts up, if value tilts up, that will give lucrative buying opportunities. There are many high growth stocks, or the stocks that were high growth at least earlier, they dropped sharply. If these two lines tilt up, they may give lucrative low risk buying opportunities. They may be in small cap, they may be even in micro cap. How to look for stocks that are at a low price level and create a watch list from them, that may be buying candidates sooner or later. How? I came across this question from one of the Q traders recently. I explained to him and I shared a number of tweets recently explaining how that can be done. I'll try to cover that once again today. He specifically mentioned micro caps, but the same approach can be used for small cap, micro cap, everything, even large caps also. But now I see small caps are underperforming, and when something is underperforming for a long time, other traders who are slower to notice this, maybe they don't have Q systems, they may be thinking of shorting small caps now. I would have shorted earlier. I may still short now, but I am also starting to look for this line to tilt up, and I am looking for possible buying opportunities if that happens. So I'll explain how such watch lists can be created. Strong fundamental stocks at a low price level, and maybe some buying is already happening. Price is not going up yet, but some buying is already happening, and we can know that from the Q charts. We'll come back to that. So market ETFs and market internals, none of them are telling us to buy anything decisively. What about mega cap tech stocks? Mega cap custom index, not just mega cap, this is mega cap tech stock only. What is the trend? Sideways. Where is it in the sideways range? Right in the middle, no trading area. That tells us not to try to buy mega caps now as a whole. However, this range is pretty narrow. If it can break out of the range to the upside, that may give lucrative buying opportunities in mega caps, because you can see the mega cap custom index was declining for a long time. Several of them are at a low price level. Those may give buy setups if this custom index can break to the upside. If it breaks to the downside, well, most of the mega caps are already at low price level. The best shorting opportunities would have been here, 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 all using flow short setup. Could they be shorted now if it breaks down? Probably, but the best shorting opportunities would have been earlier, and we could identify them easily using the Q finder or and Q charts. Okay, mega cap sideways, no clear trading signal there also. What about Q finder? Technical breadth. A very important part of my trading decisions. Weekly. Remember last week market recap I showed it was not a good time to buy from multiple angles, and see what happened this week. Technical breadth. All signals 91% bearish, trend signals 79% bearish, trend continuation 92%, trend reversal, even trend reversal 96%. Weekly has everything bearish to a large degree. And where was market last week at the close? It was closing at a high level, and at that high level I could decide not to buy. That was the perfect timing, because this week is very bearish in terms of technical breadth. The technical breadth shows in which direction you could trade to make money. Clearly it was bearish for this week. What about Friday? Also bearish. All signals, strength signals, trend continuation, trend, everything is bearish. So Friday also closed bearish. This is a good time to look for shorting opportunities. Why? Because market was going up, hit trendline resistance, starting to come down, or just moving sideways, may go down next week. But individual stocks are already starting to give short setups at a higher price level. And we may also again look for possible buying opportunities in case small caps growths start to go up again. So we could look for both kinds of stocks. We look at them, but we still have one more market health part to check. Remember QH, sector industry stock advanced decline. Last month I showed it was weakening. Bullishness was weakening, but it was still predominantly green. Now, other than 1 month period, everything is red. 10-day, 5-day, 2-day, 1-day. That is very bearish. Is it oversold? Let's look at the bucket analysis. Not here. Bucket analysis. It's not oversold yet. Percentage of stocks below lower Bollinger Band is at 10%. When it reaches 30%, 40%, then it is oversold. It's far from there. Is it bearish? Yes, it's bearish from bucket analysis because 69% of stocks are below mid Bollinger Band. Bearish but not oversold yet. That's the time to short, isn't it? Now let's look at some stocks. Now I'll answer one question first. Another gentleman asked that in a number of recent tweets and webinars, I explained how to move stocks, how to use jump thrust low, price extreme low, and big move up. And he asked if we can scan for stocks that are showing jump thrust low, and I answered yes. But there is a longer answer. I'll come to the longer answer. Let's first see in Q Global, in Explore, we have all the Q scans. If we scroll down, we have two scans, that is stocks at jump thrust high and stocks at jump thrust low. You could run these two to find stocks that are at the extreme levels. Now, do I run these two scans every day? No. Why? Because stocks at jump thrust low is a pattern. It's not a trade setup. And now I'm coming to the longer answer. Yes, the scans are there. Do I run it every day? That's the long answer. No. Why? Because they are a they are showing patterns that jump thrust high or low. They are not telling me if there is a low risk trade setups. So one way people could use this is to create watch lists. You could run these two and create watch lists of stocks that are at extreme high or extreme low and may reverse sooner or later. Maybe sooner than later. Another way is just to run Q Finder on the entire liquid universe like I do. And some of them will be at jump thrust high, some of them will be at jump thrust low. From Finder itself, I can know everything. That if I have a breakdown short setup, is it happening at jump thrust high? I can know that from Finder. Another approach would be just look for Q trade setups, that is probably a breakdown short setup. And then when we look at the chart, we'll know already whether it was at jump thrust high recently. So there are different approaches, and the most efficient is, and sometimes time is of essence, most efficient is just to run Q Finder, look for trade setups, then look at the chart when we are confirming the trade setup, that was it at jump thrust high or was it at jump thrust low. That's the most efficient. Now some people are used to create watch lists. They don't run Finder on the all liquid stocks universe. I do that way, it's more efficient in terms of time. But some people like to create watch lists. Some people, I'm sure, creates so I create tens or even 20s of watch lists. I don't, but if you wanted to create watch lists, you could always run the individual two scans. And in fact, there are other scans that you could use to create shortlist. Both approaches, the three approaches are possible. One is just run the individual scans, create watch lists. Second is run Finder and open the chart. That is the most efficient. And third is run Finder and check jump thrust also from Finder before opening the chart. Let's look at some of those approaches. Let's look at stocks at jump thrust high. I ran these two scans today preparing for the webinar. Stocks at jump thrust high. Let's look at the report. Many stocks, isn't it? Am I going to open all of them, the 60 stocks? No. Jump thrust is a pattern. If you wanted to create a watch list of them, you would copy them and save them in QVital. How to copy them? Right click, copy all. Let's go back to Vital. Click the import from Explorer button. The stocks will come in the watch list. And Vital is also retrieving data from Zenith to calculate the stock scorecard. Once it does that, you could look at the scorecard, and now comes the watch list part. You could simply copy the list, go to Universe tab and create a new column, that stocks at jump thrust high December 2022, and just drop the list there. That is how to create the watch list. I'll not copy it. I lost the list. I can get the list again and copy it. That is the way I will create watch list, and then I may run scan on it, or I may run fundamental analysis on it daily to look for weaknesses. Because these are at extreme high level, I'll prefer to short them. But there are traders who like to buy at a very high price level, So for them, this could also be buying opportunities. Stocks at very high level. Probably some of them are at all-time high. Some people like to buy there, some people like to short there. In either case, you could create the watch list. Now, what I would do now, I already created the watch list. Let's say I'm looking for shorting opportunities. Then I like to have some fundamental weakness. So I click the one star red button. That will give me only those stocks, 22 stocks you can see here. They are either overvalued or are having negative earnings growth in the last quarter. I like to have weakness in at least one of those two dimensions. Do I have some stocks that are weak on both dimensions? Let's click 3-star red. Yes, some stocks, these are at jump thrust high and they are overvalued as well as with negative earnings growth, and two of them have very negative revenue growth also. So those will be diamond shorting candidates in terms of fundamentals. They both went down on Friday. No harm looking at them using Q charts. This part I am doing live. I don't know I'll find shorting opportunities or not. So this stock PFSI is at jump thrust high or very near jump thrust high. That's how the scan alerts us. Near jump thrust high, and it came down on Friday. Fundamentally it is weak, but I will not short unless it can break below the trend line support. And then again it will come near the yellow direction line support and then another trend line support. So I will not like to short it. If I shorted it, I will not like to short it using stocks, maybe using short call verticals. But this is not the best short setup, not at all a short setup for me. I'm just reading the chart for you. By the way, whether it is about jump thrust scan or the finder, I will show how to read jump thrust in finder, be the new finder or the commentary I'm going to show. Please don't download the latest version yet. I will announce using Twitter when the latest version with all these features are tested enough to be ready. But let me show the commentary. Commentary is a way to read the chart without missing anything. It's a powerful feature of Metastock and I used it to the best possible extent. See, when I open the commentary in the setup analysis section, we have 3 sections for this chart. Every chart tells a different story, therefore every chart has a different commentary. And this entry chart has a setup commentary, trend analysis commentary and toolbox analysis commentary. When you look at setup, all blue, so there is no trade setup. When you look at trend, no clear trend. If we go down, you will see that it has some red colors, no green color. So price went down, that's bearish. Relative performance tilted down, underperforming the market, and thrust is approaching extreme high. That is also overbought. That overboughts are also colored in red here. So the commentary has no green. So it immediately tells us however bullish we are in this stock. I am not bullish in this stock, weak fundamentals. But even if I was bullish, the commentary is selling, there is no technical signal to buy. Okay, but it is still a stock at jump thrust high. So I would like to short, but not this stock. It has many supports. Let's look at the next one. That is looking more interesting. And interesting, when I use that term, that is more probable short trade. This is TCOM, TCOM. What are the bearish signals here? Let's look at the commentary. Of course, I can read the chart. I can read it very fast in a few seconds and you will be able to do that, if not are already able to do that once you use Q systems for a month or so. But let's look at the commentary. When you look at the setup analysis, one immediately pops up in red color, headwind short setup. Consider a short trade if the checklist conditions are met well. So that's bearish. Trend, it says mixed, no clear trend. That's fine. I can see in the chart it is at a high price level. Headwinds give lucrative short setups at the top. And when I look at the toolbox analysis, full of red, isn't it? I'll not read through all of them. So this is a very useful way of not missing anything that is of importance when using Q systems, Q Global on Metastock. So this one is looking interesting. A weak fundamental stock giving a possible headwind reversal short setup at the top. What I mean at the top, it is at a swing high, it is near upper boundary, it is near jump thrust high, it has a bear release signal, it is at pendulum high, many bearish signals. What about weekly daily? Weekly candle shape is indecisive. Looking at that, candle shape is indecisive, candle color is yellow. At Friday's close, I wouldn't short it, but next Monday, if it starts to go down, I will not mind shorting it. But I didn't complete the analysis yet. It is fundamentally weak, but I didn't look at the industry yet. Let's look at that. TCOM. Let's look up its industry strength from Edge. Excuse me. Is the industry weak? No. It weakened, but not weak, because Friday's color of industry score is not magenta. But can I short? Yes. Stock is giving a headwind short signal. I don't need the industry to be weak. I'll be happy to short if I see a deceleration in the industry, because I'm shorting the top. And indeed, this industry, hotel, research, cruise line, has a deceleration in industry shown by pace column. One of the 20% most decelerating industry. So I am allowed to short now after looking at the 360 degrees analysis, TCOM. Are there other such opportunities? Yes. As I mentioned, market is at a high level, swing high. We may look for shorts and we may look for longs. Okay. Now, before looking at other stocks, let's go back to Finder. So far, what did I do? I showed how to run the individual scans for jump thrust high and low, and then look for stock setups from there, trade setups. Now, another workflow could be starting with Finder. Let's go to Finder. Go to the Momentum tab for those who have that. Flag for thrust high and jump high. Let's sort. There are many stocks. Oh, we could filter by color green. So we have 55 stocks with jump thrust high, 55 stocks. This could again go into watch list. So you could create the watch list from the individual scans, or you could create the watch list using Finder. That is what I showed. The 55 stocks, you could add them to your universe tab in Vital. Now what I am going to do is not add to universe, but these are at jump thrust high. I am going to look for stocks that went down. Well, now I have 41, reduced from 55 to 41. They came down. Good. Now let me use this single click to look up possible Q short setups. 41 stocks, several signals, several setups. Let's click on the find setup. Now I am left with 16 stocks. What are these? These are at jump thrust high and giving one or more, some of them are giving two possible Q trade setups. And you see, most of them are coming in headwind. That is a short setup at the top. And interestingly, two of them are also coming with breakout short setup. So headwind and breakout at jump thrust high. And now when I look at Finder, a very powerful tool. The more you use it, in every session I cannot cover everything, but you see the way I'm using, you may find other ways to use it. And I'm using it this way today because the gentleman asked me about jump thrust, and now I'm showing the power of Finder for even finding shorting opportunities at jump thrust high. Jump thrust high with headwind short possible setup, breaking down below support, and the stocks are also at pendulum or price extreme high. That's nice, isn't it? Now let's look at these two stocks. Technical charts, one single click. This is GILD, GILD, a very strong up move here. What came near the end of the up move? Bear release, series of bearish indecisions, bearish headwind, and a breakdown, but the breakdown is not decisive yet. Therefore, on Friday I might not short, but next week if it goes down, it could be a shorting opportunity. It's a jump thrust high, price extreme high, has a bear release also on Friday. So next week if it goes down, it could be a shorting opportunity, and again I'm shorting at the very high price level. I would like to use short call vertical as my preferred instrument. But I didn't look at its fundamentals yet. I would not short unless it is either overvalued or having negative or at least decelerating earnings growth. I'm not going to look at that. You could look at that. This is not to find exact setups. I'm explaining the technique. Let's look at the next stock. That is looking even better. Here the breakdown below support is more decisive. And here we have two bearish indecisions in a row in last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. When the first bearish, not in this bearish headwind, when the first headwind came, it was still above trend line support. We would not think of shorting, but now that support is broken. This is APD, Air Products. See the big move up here. And now we are trying to short at the very top, jump thrust high, price extreme high. We also have a bear release signal. My preferred instrument again will be short call vertical, and again I will look for fundamental weakness and industry weakness before shorting. Why don't we look at that? APT is looking more appealing to me. Let's look at APT's fundamentals. See how many different workflows I am using to find lucrative trade setups. There are many more, of course, top down, starting with Q edge, fundamental first, using Q vital first, or even seasonality first if you are a big trader based on seasonality. Let's look at APD's fundamentals. Okay, I was on mute. It took a while to retrieve the scorecard because it is overvalued stock. Q Techniques allowed me to allows me to short. I am looking for weak fundamental stock either in terms of valuation or growth. Growth is also not high. There is some earnings growth, but valuation in any case allows me to short. And I can see 70% of stocks in the peer group, industrial gases, came down Friday. In itself, the industry was weak. I would also like to make sure the industry is showing weakness relative to other industries, because I'm not only shorting weak fundamental stocks that are going down, I'm shorting weaker industries relative to others, and we can find out the industry scorecard. Yes, I have reason to short. Deceleration, strong deceleration. Again, it's not the strongest in terms of score, but that's fine. I'm trying to short at the top using bearish headwind. So APD is a lucrative shorting opportunity for me. And in this case, I was not awake when the market closed on Friday. I'm in the opposite time zone. But if I found it near the market close, I would not mind taking a short trade on Friday using short call vertical. Well, let's look at some other stocks. Let's look at Novavax. I tweeted about Novavax. Let's look at the tweet. Let's look back and see not only when to trade but when not to trade. I shared this chart of Novavax on December 8th. That is Thursday. Very nice fundamentals. You may check that out using Vital. Is creating a beautiful squeeze. It already came to thrust low, and then all of a sudden, this is the footprint of people who buy at the bottom. They must be bigger players. Big move up 3 and big move up 3 again, and after that price didn't go down. It is stabilizing inside a squeeze at the level where long time ago, before we knew the future, we never know the future, a bullish headwind had come. That bullish headwind is still holding. Beautiful, isn't it? And now if it breaks above the trend line support, I'll be happy to buy. That's what I shared in the tweet. And the actual post, a more detailed post is there in the forum. To be prepared to buy, but wait for a breakout to the upside. Did the breakout happen? Let's look at the live chart. This is Novavax. No, the breakout to the upside did not happen in weekly daily. Still inside the squeeze. If it breaks out, even of this narrow range, we'll have very low risk buying opportunity. Very low risk. That's the keyword, very low risk. Even if there is a trendline resistance nearby, because the risk would be very small, I wouldn't mind buying some stocks if it broke up to the upside. I don't have enough time to look at all the stocks. Let's look at some BHR. This has some interesting patterns. Remember, I was trying to answer the question of different ways of using jump thrust, and I mentioned that the most efficient way is to look for trade setups. So BHR in fact has a trade setup, that is a breakout trade setup. You could look up from Q Finder in global, or you could look that up in Elite also. Let's look that BHR. Drop the symbol BHR. Okay. Why? Okay, I'll have to check that. But it is showing a breakout. Something wrong with my finder. No problem. I'll have to fix that later. Let's look up BHR's fundamentals first, and then we can look up its technical setup using Q Global Finder. Now, in terms of Fundamentals, medium valuation, no earnings growth. So we don't have one of the two preferred dimensions to help us buy, but it has a short squeeze potential and a dividend yield of 5%. It's a rate, so the dividend yield is more reliable than other industries. So that could be a reason to buy in terms of fundamentals. On Friday, the market was weak, but 47% of peer stocks went up. Let's look at its industry score. One of the strongest industries, top 20% industries on Friday, and the industry also went up on Friday. That could be a reason to buy in terms of industry strength, and for fundamentals we saw dividend yield is there. What about its Q finder signals? Let's check that out. It has a breakout setup, a possible box setup also. It went up with bullish pressure, big percentage change, 11% change on Friday. All these signals are coming at price extreme low. The Q finder tool is extremely valuable. And now let's look up the alternate momentum signals. It also has a big move up 3. It has a PSAR reversal, pocket pivot, Kahuna from a squeeze with Mobo breakout. So it has all the telltale signals for a buy setup in the alternate momentum signals also. And it has a clear breakout setup on Q charts. Okay, that is BHR, not that, BHR. Okay, so what we saw that it is possible in every market condition to look for buy and short setup, and in this case I tried to look for stocks that are either oversold or overbought. Now one more comment on BHR. Let's look at it using weekly daily first. The weekly is having a series of bullish indecision at the bottom, but weekly candle is indecisive. Friday's candle is indecisive, but somebody stepped in and bought a lot right at the bottom. In fact, they bought here also, tried to stop people out and bought again. Now we have a breakout. Still, I would not buy at the close on Friday because of the upper tail, but if it goes up next week, I wouldn't mind buying a real estate rate BHR. Okay, now let's have time for 1 minute. Let's look at another stock if possible. Zeta, Z-E-T-A. And why I came to this stock is we don't have to always look for jump thrust low buying opportunities. We don't have to look for price extreme low. That was another comment I made to a gentleman in email. We don't always have to look for that. Q trade setups are allowing us to trade in all market conditions. Now Zeta, is it in a downtrend? No. It had a sharp up move and then stabilizing at that price level. And on Friday, when the market was weak, we saw Q Finder also very weak on Friday. This stock actually went up. Zeta. Let's look at its technical signals. Let's start with fundamentals. By the way, one gentleman also commented to me that he uses Q systems but sometimes does not use fundamentals and industry strength or weakness, and I commented that why not, because it takes only 1 or 2 minutes to complete, like I'm doing right now. Whether you make a final decision to trade or not is a separate thing, but not to use the tools after having that, I think there is no reason to do that, because it just takes 1 minute or so to do that. And sometimes when you look at a stock's peer list, you may find alternative buy setups instead of that particular stock. Okay, let's look at Zeta now. ZETA, undervalued stock as per Vital Scorecard. and having a huge earnings growth and accelerating earnings growth. We can see that from the graph also. Revenue growth is also going up, sizable revenue growth. So we know that it is a diamond fundamentals with a short squeeze potential. Low price stock, $8.9. Let's look at its industry score, application software. I'm going to the industry graph first. Industry is not that good. Application software as an industry is not good on Friday, one of the most decelerating. Let's look at the stock again and look at its technical signals. You see how I am moving between different programs. You could do that in different ways. I could go to the chart, read the signals, or I could use the commentary on the chart, or I could use Finder to read the signals, or you could do all of them. Zeta, ZETA has a possible flow trade setup, breakout trade setup. It has a gap up move at price extreme, neither high nor low, had a 7% plus move on Friday. And let's use one single click to look at momentum signals, and you will see something interesting. No momentum signal. Okay, so we have enough buy setups on the Q charts. Is it a stock? Why did I come to this example? Is to say that Q traders or myself, we are not looking for only trades at jump thrust low, price extreme low, or jump thrust high, price extreme high. We can trade in the middle also comfortably, quite comfortably, as you can see. And let's look at this stock. Just one more minute to look at its weekly daily to confirm the trade setup. Weekly was moving sideways, daily was inside a triangle, and now it is breaking out with bullish flow. Would I buy on Friday at the close? No, that would be because of the upper tail, but Monday if it goes up, I don't mind buying this stock. Again, I will look for industry strength also. I prefer to have that if I am buying any stock. These are different ways you can use Q systems to find trades. Of course, we can use Q edge to do top-down analysis. You could use individual scans also. I will try to explain different techniques in different weekend recaps. Let's end today's session here. We are at the 1 hour point. Market is indecisive. I will like to short stocks like APD if it goes down, and there may be buy setups in stocks at a low price point if the market starts to go up, and especially so if small cap growth starts to outperform. But we are not there yet, so I am flexible. I can trade in either direction. I'm going to do that, follow the market. Thanks a lot for joining. I look forward to seeing you in my next market recap next weekend. Have a great weekend. And as this live example show, there is no reason not to do that. Trade profitably. Thank you.